It almost seems cliche with James Storm to say he's always looking for a fight, but tonight it's the literal truth. He just showed up in the backstage area and now is going to take part in this huge... Oh, he's going right after Masters. Well, I guess that's what you get when Masters poured out his suds.
Yeah, you don't pour out another man's beer, and now Masters is facing the ramifications of that as Fred Rosser just happy to get in where he can.
This is three impressive guys in here. All these dudes are big boys. Sometimes we see a little bit of a differential, but all three of these guys are big boys, and they're looking to hurt each other.
Three big match experience as well. Will not be intimidated, I think, by anyone.
These guys have competed on the grandest stage at the highest level. All network professional wrestling stars of the highest caliber. Look at this. Rosser working together to take down Masters. Now dropping the knee is the bearded outlaw. And a quick leg drop there by Rosser. I gotta think that teamwork will be short-lived in a match like this. Of course, guys, every man for himself. Masters calling for a timeout. First pinfall submission is gonna take home the victory.
Yeah, teamwork will only go so far in a format like this. It's more to isolate one so you get it to that more traditional single-style matchup, and then it's anything goes.
Fred Rosser did a good job of just staying out of the way for the first few seconds of that matchup, though. He knew that there was bad blood already between Storm and Masters, and he just let them get started with it.
Yeah, Storm came in hot under the collar, feigned the last call super kick, maybe just trying to measure, get his distance on Rosser. Of course, if Storm hits you with that, it can be over in a hurry. We talked about the abilities of these guys, Fred Rosser and what he's done. How about James Storm, former TNA world champion, defeated the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle to win that title, an 8-time NWA tag team title holder. Storm 7 times before the Corgan era and 1 time in it. Nice single leg pick there by the Cowboy into the side headlock. Boy, this is just fun to watch. Two great pros, and watching on the outside is Masters.
I don't blame Masters for trying to sit out on the side now, too, just like Fred Rosser did earlier in the matchup. Now he's hanging out, getting some momentum back, and letting these guys beat each other up.
Yeah, he called the timeout. He might be the smartest man in Thunder Studios, is Chris Masters.
And recently, Fred Rosser, living up to that moniker of no days off, got himself into incredible shape during the shutdown, but then returned to action as part of New Japan Pro Wrestling. We saw Clark Connors, Danny Limelight earlier. We've seen Carl Fredericks. Rosser has been scoring big victories on New Japan Strong.
I think a big key for Fred Rosser is that block the hate movement, because there's something that can spur you on when you stand for something that's bigger than yourself. That can be a real motivator to drive you when the chips are down.
Well, we got a real slugfest here. And a meeting of the minds, you might say, with the headbutts there.
Yeah, use your head for more than a hat, I'll say.
Look out here, looking maybe for a powerbomb, maybe looking for that Eye of the Storm. Ripcord, oh, look at that.
Beautiful job there, Storm, evading that right hand, getting underneath and dropping that.
He's calling his shot, but Masters on the outside. Ever the opportunist.
That's one thing you have to watch out for in these triple threat matches, is somebody to try and steal it when you think you have the match won, and then the rug gets pulled out from under you. Oh, my goodness, unforgiving.
Hip toss right on that concrete floor, and for a moment makes a bearded outlaw a non-factor, and that's what you got to do. You talk about having your head in a swivel. You also have to isolate somebody out of there and try and take advantage. Force it into a one-on-one matchup and try and make quick work if you can. Easier said than done.
Here's the thing, Masters isn't making any friends with Storm or Rosser. Both of them want a piece of him now. So as soon as Storm gets back in that ring, Masters better not have his back facing him.
Rosser in trouble right now, and Masters so powerful. You see, once he has those fingers locked, beautiful butterfly suplex, center of the ring. Boy, and if he can lock those fingers in that master lock, guys, it's a big-time difference maker.
No doubt about it. He's put most everybody down with that master lock. You talk about some of the greats that this business has ever seen fallen victim to the master lock.
A dangerous thing about the master lock, though, this is a triple threat match. One-on-one, that's great, because you're not so worried about somebody else jumping in. But there's a third guy in here. He's probably going to be mad at Chris Masters, so he needs to be careful if he decides to slap that master lock on.
Samoan drop. Nicely done there by Masters. High impact.
Memphis Wrestling is back. Catch all the action every Saturday at high noon right here on CW30 Memphis.
And know, and right now Masters in total control. Masters looks as good as he ever has, guys. He's been living in the gym as he always has. And I mean, you think of the caliber of competition that he's in there with. Guys that have dominated all over the world.
You talk about his experience, and it goes to show the veteran move he did early on in this matchup by just letting these two guys go at it and hanging out on the outside, waiting for his time to pounce and getting the best of both of them now that he waited.
And I got to mention, as Masters dishing out the pain right now on Rosser and really controlling the pace of this matchup. Masters has been a really well-traveled competitor in his time outside of the WWE. He's traveled the globe, all points in between Australia, in Qatar, in the Middle East. In fact, he and Carlito, I believe, are tag team champions in Qatar Pro Wrestling.
Something else worth noting is Masters doing a fantastic job of using really low-risk maneuvers to be chopping away at the energy bar of both his opponents. He's not doing big things. He's not really worried about doing big slams and getting countered. Low-risk moves that are high effectiveness.
Maybe helping him keep that head on a swivel so he can keep switching back and forth between opponents.
That's a great point, James. He beats one down, and then just as soon as Storm starts to stir on the outside, he'll go over there, he'll redirect his focus, get a shot or two on Storm. Storm has not been able to get off the sidelines for, you know, a good 5 or 6 minutes.
Key for Rosser or Storm is just to try and find any opening to slow down Masters' momentum and swing it. And there, that might be it for Fred Rosser. Connected with that shot.
Beat him to the punch there, and maybe now carrying the little bit less body weight, conditioning might become a factor. Rosser, a quicker competitor, and not under the effect of the liquid libations like maybe a Storm, might have the advantage the longer this match goes.
Something to keep in mind, though, is Dasha's been taking damage, and it is exhausting getting your butt kicked. It is exhausting.
Yeah,
mentally and physically, I'd imagine.
Does the big man punch himself out at some point? Talking about Masters, again, beat him to the punch. You got to watch out for Storm on the outside. That ramp has claimed a lot of victims over the weeks here. The 5-week history, DDT. Good night, sir. Good night, sir. Thanks for playing.
Dasha looks out, man. He's limp.
Tag him, bag him. I don't know if we're going to see Fred Rosser back in this match. Unbelievable maneuver by James Storm.
Couldn't block that, could he? And Rosser in big trouble there, and now he's going to be relegated to the outside. The window of opportunity opens for the Bearded Outlaw and the Masterpiece. Boy, what a struggle.
Storm doesn't even want the pin on Dasha. He wants to go to...
Rosser eats that DDT, and still continues to fight. I mean, amazing.
Showing tremendous heart. He's showing that it's not hard to knock him down, but it's getting him to stay down that counts.
Storm looks like his back's still hurt from that hip toss on the outside earlier by Chris Masters. You saw him holding his back a second ago.
See what Storm has in mind. At least, hey, step one, he got back in the ring. So that's a moral victory, if nothing else. And there, the back is smarting him, as you mentioned. And look at, able to sit back and pick off just like a giant vulture is the Masterpiece. Now with all that power personified, trying to bring the Rosser, too much balance. Avoids the suplex. Can't avoid this. Look at this. Roll up now by James Storm. Opportunistic. Oh, right to the big boot.
I am just so impressed that Rosser is even in this match right now after the damage that he has sustained.
I give him a lot of credit because he didn't just roll out and go take a break. He's been in there nonstop in the heat of the battle, fighting in the trenches.
We'll talk about heat of the battle. Rosser is going to work, shot after shot, beating down the Masterpiece. Making a statement is Fred Rosser right now. We see some great striking by Rosser, the type of striking he's put on display in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and now here at United Wrestling, Time Live. Seated splash, center of the ring. Can the Cowboy break it up? Not in position. Masterpiece had to kick out, had no choice.
Had no choice. I thought the win might have been completely taken out of him, though. That could have been a big-time victory for Rosser.
You got to start wondering, how much does Storm have left in him? He has been really damaged since early on in this matchup. He might be the weakest link in this ring. Maybe tossing Masters out and Rosser going for the pin on Storm might be the way to win this matchup.
Huge match in the pecking order here. Bragging rights on the line, but you think of the fact that we've got United Television title on the line earlier. We saw the West Coast Pro title. Look out here. We've seen the NWA World's Heavyweight title, 10 pounds of gold on this program, so many championships. All these three guys could get in position to perhaps contend for this thing picking up. Look at this, neckbreaker DDT go, ringing the bells, and now going for the cover as the Cowboy looking to take advantage. Not yet.
He had a choice to make on who to cover. A little bit of hesitation there. That might have been the difference between the 2 and the 3 count there.
I think he went for the right choice, though. Rosser has had a lot more damage thus far in the matchup than Masters has. I think he went for the right pin.
Great point, including that huge DDT on the ramp. But now look at this, body strewn everywhere. 3 great superstars that have brought all of their accolades, all their experience to Primetime Live. Who can dig down deep, find that little something extra, and pick up the win.
Rosser literally using the ropes to move his body. He has such little left in the tank, but he's got all heart.
Yeah, but Masters is on his feet, and that gives him a big advantage right now. The big man looming over his 2 opponents, his 2 would-be victims at this point in the match.
I'd like to see him try to put a guy on the outside and isolate him again, but Tim Storm back with a good counter.
Oh, looking for that last call. Ah, now the master lock, but he's got to waste the fingers. And just to your point, Rosser there to break it up. You mentioned that was a danger for Masters. Oh, now a hook kick. Oh, I think he caught him low. And the official there was dealing with Masters.
Didn't see it.
Yep. Jawbreaker the other way. Boy, I'll tell you. Incredible action. Just completely unbelievable, unpredictable. Gut check there by Rosser. Can he put him away? He can.
Phenomenal victory.
Here is your winner, Fred Rosser.
Rosser came here to take on a masterpiece and had to take on James Storm as well, and would not be denied. No days off. Primetime player, living up to the moniker here on Primetime Live. Let's take a look back at the action here. Deposits, Storm to the outside, and here we see this gut check. Here, Blake elevated.
Big gut check here, and I think the big thing that got this pin is you can see Rosser hook the legs. Watch him triangle his legs.